guys, welcome back to this baking experiment. Okay, so I have decided that today I'm gonna make biscotti. So biscotti is kind of like a zweibacken. Both of them basically mean the same thing, twice baked. So let's see how my mixing experiments worked, because I have done a recipe that I already tweaked in the past. I don't even remember what the original recipe was. I just put my own spin on it already, and I'm putting another spin on it. So this is a whole new recipe as compared to before. My original recipe called for gluten-free flour, oat flour, cocoa powder, baking powder, salt, coconut oil, sugar, eggs, pistachios, and chocolate chips. So the only thing that's staying how it was is pretty much the cocoa powder, the baking powder, the salt, coconut oil, and pistachios and chocolate chips. So anyway, let's begin. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm just gonna whisk the flour and the baking powder and the baking soda and the cocoa powder and the salt together. I figured I could do a 4th cup of almond flour, 3rd cup of gluten-free flour, and the rest of it is oat flour. So it should be about 2 cups together, all together. The oat flour has like a lower, obviously has no gluten in it at all. It has a lower protein ratio, I believe. So with that, I'm going to put in a 3rd cup of cocoa powder, a tablespoon of baking powder. So the baking powder is going to help leaven it up. And because I decided I don't want to use eggs again for this recipe, I'm so not sure how this is going to come out. I'm going to do what I did the last time to replace the eggs, because I do want to more airy texture since I'm baking it twice. So for 1 egg, it's a tablespoon of vinegar and a teaspoon of baking soda. So I'm going to do a teaspoon of baking soda here. And then we are supposed to do, let me look at the recipe. 4th teaspoon of salt. Now there is salt. I got salted pistachios, so technically I'm adding extra salt to this. However, we can always just do a little dash. Okay? So we're going to mix that together. I'm actually going to use a fork. Oh, that came out a little bit. Just to help fluff it up a little bit as well. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to put this to the side. And now we're going to do the wet ingredients. So this calls for 6 tablespoons of coconut oil, which I have slightly melted, not completely, just because I wanted to make my life easier in terms of mixing it. So now we're going to add a cup of sugar, which I am not going to do. The reason I'm changing the recipe is because I had extra bananas left that were probably going to go bad within the week. So I have decided to use 1 banana, which also helps with the structure because it can also act as an egg. I'm not completely using it like that. I'm messing with the recipe even more, but I'm using it more for the sugar volume. So I've done 1 banana, and I've also done about a 1/4 cup of honey. Okay? Now, if I don't think it's sweet enough, I may just put or make some sort of frosting or glaze later on just to add to the sweetness, but for right now, I think that's fine. So I have to cream this. Okay, we are ready to roll. Okay, so I'm going to try to cream this and see how long it takes. Okay, so that is that for right now. We're going to do a tablespoon of vinegar. Actually, I'm going to use more than a tablespoon. I'm going to use maybe a tablespoon and a half, because even though the banana can act as an egg at times, it's not necessarily in the rising component. So I'm just going to kind of help that out a little bit. So I'm going to do, tablespoon and a half sounds good. Ooh, that means I need to add more baking soda in the dry mixture. So I'm just going to add another half teaspoon of baking soda. So let me just put this down. Okay. And where's that half teaspoon thingy? There it is. Okay, another half. And I am going to, once again, blend. Okay. And the recipe doesn't actually call for vanilla extract, but I am going to add some vanilla bean paste. And that's just because vanilla bean paste or vanilla in general has been known to help increase what you can taste in terms of sugar in the product. So I'm not adding a lot of extra sugar, so this will kind of help. So just adding a little bit. I'm not measuring. It's probably not a good idea. I would say I put about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. Okay, so now we're gonna blend that in as well. So now we're gonna start adding a little bit of that dry mixture that we have right here, a little bit at a time while we're mixing. And then we'll probably go towards a wooden spoon because this dough is gonna get tough real quick. Okay, so beater in one, dry mix in the other, and let's just do this. Okay, that is the last of it, and now to really beat it. Okay, I'm gonna use a wooden spatula more than not to just kind of get everything together. Okay, so now we have to add in the extra ingredients. Now it calls for a half cup of chocolate chips. At this point, I just kind of want to get rid of chocolate from Valentine's Day. And I had a lot of dark chocolate for myself, not for anyone else. So I chopped that up to about a half a cup and I'm gonna mix that in. That also means that it'll probably melt a little bit better. And because it's dark chocolate, it's not really gonna add extra sugar, but oh well. So we'll mix that in. And now we're going to add the pistachios. So we're doing about a cup worth. I chopped them. You can probably do them whole. I just wanted there to be more of a distribution. So I decided to chop them up. And so we're gonna mix that. Okay, that's pretty well incorporated. So now the next step is to turn this dough into a log and bake it. And so I'm going to try to put this all together because some parts are still coming out. And I'm actually going to use the bowl to help me already roll it a little bit. And I'm going to use my hands for the rest. Okay, it's looking like a flattened log to an extent. So this is going to go into the oven
at 350,
which I have heated for about 25 minutes. And while it's baking, I think I'll make some sort of chocolate glaze to kind of go on top. Let's throw this in for 25 minutes. And while we are waiting for that, we're gonna move to the glaze. Jump time, we hopped over. So now I have on this side for the glaze, I made a double boiler, basically. So I just used a glass bowl and put it on top of a pot that has boiling hot water so I won't actually burn any of the chocolate. So this has been going for a while, so the bowl is hot and ready to go. So I'm using about 3/4 cup of the same chocolates that I used before for the Biscotti. And they're dark chocolate. You can use milk chocolate to get a sweeter flavor. I don't need a very, very sweet flavor, but I probably am gonna add honey to this mixture. So we're gonna just throw this in. We are just going to mix it. Okay, we'll mix with this one. Okay, let me just get a thingy thing to hold it a little bit with. Okay, so it is melting very well. So I'm going to add a little bit of honey to it. Maybe that looks like a tablespoon or so. Okay, we're gonna keep mixing it now because it wasn't completely melted in the first place. Okay, it is looking pretty melted at this point. So I'm just gonna add, normally what you would add is a cream or a milk base in order to make it more like an icing. I'm gonna do almond milk. I have a 1/4 cup here. I highly doubt I'm going to use the whole thing. Ooh, I'm spilling. So let's use about half of that. So we use an 1/8 cup approximately. So you want to mix until fully incorporated. Yeah, I think I'm going to add the rest of the milk only because I think I want to add another spice to it. So let me add the rest of the milk because I don't want to waste. Okay, so we're going to mix this as well. I am going to add a little secret ingredient. Not very secret because I'm going to tell you. I'm adding about, I'd say, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne. Supposedly cayenne or chili powder, or is it chili powder?
It's
basically
cayenne.
Hot peppers and cacao are the drinks of the gods. Now, I don't necessarily believe that they are drinks of the gods, although that pep in your step and the nice antioxidant of the dark chocolate or the cacao is always great. Digressing here, I think it'll give it a nice kick on top of the pistachios, and I think the honey already gave it a good amount of sweetness. Yeah, it looks like it drizzles very well. So I'm going to turn it off the flame. Continue to let it sit on the pot and kind of just meld together the flavors. So I'm going to take this off the heated stove thingy. And we'll just wait the remaining minutes for the biscotti to finish. Okay, so it's kind of falling apart. So I think I want to just change it from what I'm doing here now. That's good though. I think I'm just gonna crumble it all up, press it into a pie pan. No, even better. I'm gonna press it into a like a square pan and cook it like I would bake a whole cookie. So yeah, let's try that. So I have an 8-inch square pan. And so now I'm just gonna crumble these up. So let's press it down. We'll crumble it a little bit more and press it down. Since pies usually bake, what, 10-15 minutes? We'll just do that, I guess. I think I'm actually gonna take some out that I just pushed in. And I'm gonna make myself a little one. Okay, both are pressed down. And I'm gonna put them both in, well, not both actually. I'd say, I'm gonna put this one in for the big one, probably about 10-15 minutes. And I'm going to consistently check the smaller one to see how that one comes. Just throw these in. So yeah, probably another 10-15 minutes. I have found recipes for peanut butter chocolate mousses, and I can use that to fill.
Top it.
But I'm gonna use my nut butter. You can replace it with seed butter. The nut butter that I made recently has very low flavor, very little flavor. It is just peanuts with cantaloupe seeds and a little bit of honey and a little bit of coconut oil. So I'm gonna try using some of this. It calls for a cup, and but I'm gonna try to do half a cup. Yeah, that's enough. I don't want to do more than that. So I'm gonna put that in there. So I'm gonna beat this. Okay, ready to go. Let's try this out. Okay, I think that's good. Now that I've pretty much beat it all together, I'm gonna cover it up and throw it in the fridge for an hour and then let that cool down. Okay, so this has set for a little over an hour. This has set for a little more than an hour. So now we're just supposed to beat the bejesus out of it. So let's go. So that basically went all over the place. Well, it tastes really good and very chocolatey. Tad bit spicy. I think I'm gonna add a little bit extra almond milk, probably another almost quarter cup, just because it is very thick and I do want to thin it out a little bit. That actually looks pretty good. Okay, so now we're just going to try to get all of it out and onto this lovely whatever I made here. Okay, I think that's good. Let's take a lookie. As you can see, they don't look so pretty completely, but they are very chocolatey and they almost look like a pie. That little one definitely looks like I nailed it, sarcasm intended. So let's just give the small one a taste since it looks like the horrible one and it's the one that I meant to eat anyway. So it definitely breaks apart. At least let's try it. So good. Other than the fact that it breaks apart, it is very chocolatey. It tastes buttery. It definitely tastes like a biscotti. So I probably would have added extra coconut oil to keep it together, or maybe would have straight up put a binder in it, like an extra banana, or maybe even an egg. For taking something that came out horribly wrong for an experiment and somehow salvaging it, I am pretty happy with this one. So I hope you try something different than this. I would definitely suggest trying doing eggs instead of what I tried to do on this one, or maybe even straight up just creating cookies out of them instead of trying to do a biscotti. As for the mousse came out good. Mousse came out like a Mises mousse. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed me royally messing this up. And yeah, try the sugar and the eggs instead and see how it comes out. Oh, and probably less oat flour and more of a gluten-free flour or a almond flour, probably, because you do want it to hold together with the binding.
Just refrigerate for 2 hours.
I would definitely say success out of an unsuccessful thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed me doing this, and see you next time.